Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Part-Time Artist Podcast. This is episode 184. I am super stoked for this show. I can't wait to get into these tunes, but before we jump in and do all that, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with me right now. First of all, I just played a show last night with my punk band, the band with no name, the first band, the opening band. We've been called a lot of things because we don't have a band name yet. But we played a show at Creep Records, and it was fucking awesome, guys. If you're looking for a spot to play in Philadelphia, maybe you want a venue, but you don't want it to be too venue-y. Maybe you want a house show, but you don't want it to be too house showy. Bam. Creep Records in Port Richmond is such an awesome spot. All ages in the basement of a record shop. It doesn't get much cooler than that. It sounds great. It's a big open space, and Eric running sound is amazing. The whole thing is just awesome, top notch. One of the coolest places I think I've played ever, let alone in Philadelphia. So I'm going to try to go back there with War Park in a couple months. But speaking of War Park, we are going on tour. Yes, it's happening. 2 weeks, we will be going on tour, and if you are not following me on social media, you can see it on social media, on Instagram, on everything, I'm at Roger Stays Creative. That's where it is now. So it'd be really cool to see some friends of the podcast, YouTube friends, anybody, if you're, in Canada or wherever, come to the show in a couple weeks. We're going to be going up to Vermont and Boston and, Massachusetts area, up to Montreal, over to Toronto. For the first time, we'll be in the Buffalo area, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester. So that's exciting. And then we come back to Pennsylvania. So our returning Philly show is going to be on the 14th at Philomoka. It's going to be so cool. And then October 6th, I'll be playing with my punk band also at Philomoka, but that's a matinee show, and that's going to be a ton of fun. So lots of cool, exciting things coming up in my world with music, which is amazing. There's seasons to everything, y'all, especially for being a musician. There's the writing season, the recording season, the creative season, and then the touring season, the gig season. So right now I'm in the gig season, and this is like a lot of fun. Especially the fact that the shows are all booked and everything. That's a big deal these days to get those shows booked. But aside from that, just some business stuff. Of course, the podcast. If you're new to the podcast, I have a couple affiliate links. One of them is for Visible. Visible is the cell phone service that I use. It's only $25 a month. Really easy, great service, unlimited personal hotspot and shit like that. So if you're looking for a new cheap cell phone service that you can just keep your phone, and set up from your bed, from the toilet, wherever you are, you can set up a brand new phone service plan right there. It's so easy. So you can click on my code, and I think you get a free month, and I get a free month. Everybody wins. And also, DistroKid, I got a small 7% off of DistroKid. That's what I use to get my music on streaming services. Bleh. But if you want to listen to shit on streaming services, you got to get it on there. So I use DistroKid, but I mostly use Bandcamp, and you guys know that. You guys know I'm a Bandcamper. But aside from all that, there's a link to donate if you want to support me in that way. That'd be great. But honestly, the best way to support me is to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching here, and share this with your friends. This is something created for artists by an artist. So the more artists we can get, the more powerful we'll become. And I'm creating a whole network of part-time artists here, and a lot of which have helped me out with this War Park tour. So there's a network here of people that are like, hey, do you know anybody in Chicago? And I'm like, hey, I had this artist in Chicago. I had this artist in Detroit, and people have been networking shows through the podcast, which is awesome. That is like the ultimate goal here. So yeah, please subscribe on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment so it'll help the engagement. Engaging with this is more than enough. So if you can do that, give it a thumbs up or whatever, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. That is my passion right now, is getting this YouTube going, for not just for me, but for you guys. I'm trying to give back with this thing. I make the content, I'm paying for the editors to make stuff that helps artists. The things that I'm learning about myself, that's making me a better person and a better artist, I'm trying to share it with other people as well. So that's what my YouTube is designed to do, to empower and inspire. And this show that we have today with this group of artists, I am blown away. I cannot wait to learn from these guys, because these guys have it going on. They have an incredible sound. So let's jump into this show. All right, I have with me a couple of really, really special guests here. I'm super excited for this show because you guys are going to love this shit. You guys are going to love these tunes. You're going to love this record. But I have with me Melanie and Justin from the Oddity. Guys, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
All right, now let's just jump right in here. You guys are from Southern California. Yes, do we claim like a specific part of it?
Kind of Riverside.
Yeah,
Riverside.
yeah.
Okay.
Inland Empire.
Because sometimes people get really particular about their LA neighborhoods. To me, you're all LA, but whatever. It's just me.
We're not really close to LA.
Yeah.
We're like a good hour and a half away.
Okay. Which, depending on the day, could be 5 hours. I'm sure. But one thing I know about, like, because I'm on the East Coast, I've been to the West Coast, and I've talked to people, obviously, from both. But something about being in the coastal areas is there's always this, like, love it, hate it relationship. It's such a bittersweet thing. There's so many things that we love, but then there's so many things that we like complain about, but for some reason we're all like still addicted to being on the coast. So I would love to know for you guys, if there's one thing you love and one thing you hate about SoCal.
It's hard.
I'll say one thing I hate is the real estate prices. That's about it.
That'll get you. That'll get you.
Like, because for me, I guess the biggest thing I like is like, I don't know. It's like, I guess the diversity in it, and like from the people to the actual place itself. It's like whatever you're interested in, whatever it might be, there's like, it's here. It's like it's an hour away. Yeah.
Nice.
I have a basic answer. I love the weather.
Yeah.
It's always perfect. Sometimes it's kind of hot, but usually it's perfect. And I hate the traffic and just how crowded it is in general.
Yeah.
So crowded.
Were you guys have always been there, or did you guys come from other spots?
Yeah.
I was born. No, I was born in Hawaii, but came here like a month after I was born. Not even, I don't think.
Damn, so you didn't even have a choice, dude.
Yeah. My dad was in the Navy, and literally like the umbilical cord, and then they shipped him out to San Diego.
Damn.
Like literally there for the birth, and then had to leave.
Well, San Diego, Hawaii to San Diego is probably the nicest step, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I am privileged as hell with where I've lived. Like, it is not close.
Yeah. Yeah, because, man, there's... Imagine Hawaii to, like, Annapolis or something. You could have been stationed in Maryland with the rest of the rest of the seamen.
somewhere just in the Midwest.
It's tough.
What is, like, the SoCal scene for y'all? Because I know you guys move a little bit special. You guys are a little different because you guys are also a cover band, and you have, like, you know, your own band. So I'm sure you get to see, like, different sides of the music scene and the music industry in SoCal. So how does it fare over there?
I feel like a lot of the bands making original music here are more like metal or punk.
Wow, yeah.
Or just like straight indie surf rock. Like there's nothing that's just like regular rock or alternative really. So it's been weird.
That's been a consistent problem with like doing shows is we're either too heavy because the rest of the people are doing like shoegaze or like your indie like coffee shop type thing, which again, no like crime to it or like not trying to make fun of that. Or they're doing like punk and like metal and they're like
hardcore
going hard. And which again, awesome. That's super fun. But we're like neither of those. We're in between somewhere. Like you said, from like Arizona to Revival, we can kind of fit in both if we tailor our set list and whatnot. But it's never quite like, oh yes, all of these bands play the similar kind of music.
It's never a perfect fit.
Yeah.
That just seems to be the case with alternative bands in general, I think, across the country. I have the same problem with our band. Like, your band and our band, we would play a rad show. And especially, shout out to Grand Dogs. I just had Alex from Grand Dogs on here, and when I heard this record, Grand Dogs is the first guys I thought of. Because I was just like, yeah, like, for the people that are doing this, like, genre blending, you know, genre ambiguous type of genre fluid music, you know, alternative stuff, it's like, it's so hard. Like, first of all, it's hard to put a show together, right? Let's just say that, especially let alone a tour. But then when you want to, you know, play shows with like-minded artists, it is very awkward for alternative bands and music. So yeah, how do you guys balance the cover band thing with the originals?
We don't. we try to play some of our songs at gigs, but the venues usually don't like that a lot. So we try to avoid doing our songs. We know like 4 hours, 5 hours of covers, and so going back and forth. It's just back and forth, cover original. Very different experience for both. But we've been doing the covers longer, so we're pretty comfortable with those shows.
When in doubt, you could just tell them that this is a Radiohead song, right? What are they gonna? How are they gonna know?
Basically,
who's gonna know? They're not gonna know at all.
You're right.
But
that's why usually we'll just sneak a couple in.
Yeah, so you guys like kind of tie it together. That's interesting because the cover band, like when sometimes cover bands have to even like sign contracts and like, you know, do the fill out a tax form and shit because it's so on the books.
Yeah.
But let's dive into your tunes here because I'm so excited for everybody to hear these. And then we'll talk about this record a little bit. But let's kick it off here with the introduction to this record. The main character here. This first song is called Angela. Check it out.
Don't try to tell
right, that tune was called Angela, and it's Angela's version of Angela. Can you guys spill the beans? Is there another version?
A single version.
Yeah,
it's just a different mix.
Oh, okay. You had me wondering. I'm like, where's the other version? Is it on the vinyl? Is it gonna be in the box set later on in 20 years? You know.
No, that's like honestly a bigger thing with Alone than Angela.
Okay, yes, because that is another one that comes up. If you guys go to the oddityband.bandcamp.com, you can see what we're talking about here with the tunes. Now, like I was telling you guys before, okay, this was my introduction to your band. And it's quite a unique one. But I'm waking up and I have to go to work in the morning, and the night before I see Green Day, okay? And Green Day, if you don't know, is playing all of Dookie, all of American Idiot, and they're Smashing Pumpkins. It's a fucking long concert. Okay, so the next morning I wake up and I got to be at work at 9 a.m. And what I put on is I put on Odd Man Out, and I'm just listening to this record, and I'm driving to work, and I'm just like, oh, this is fucking perfect. This is like just my speed. It's like, you know, I was like I didn't drink at all, but I was like hung over from exhaustion. And like the tunes were like pulling me in, and I was like, all right, this is perfect for me. And then today I open up this new record that you guys came out with a couple months ago that I didn't listen to, which is as much my fault as it is your fault because I didn't have the link. But I didn't do a good job at researching. But anyway, what a night and day difference between the concepts, the production, the mixing, and the genre of it. What happened? Like, what was the approach with this record that wasn't on that last record? What was it that you guys just came together and just said, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fucking turn up here. What was the approach to this record?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things is that's kind of what we were going for. It was a step up from the last one. And fun fact about the first one, it was like completely mixed and mastered by Miss Melanie Reynolds sitting here.
Nice. Good for you. We're going to pipe in some applause. Don't worry. We're going to pipe in some claps for you as soon as I figure out how to do that.
Thank you. For this one, we started working with a small label in Riverside. And so I didn't have to mix it anymore. Someone who actually knows how to do it did it.
Okay.
And produced it as well. I think having a producer made a huge difference because he'd be like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, try this. And it just made it come together, and he had really good ideas and added in all these instruments. And because, you know, I'm the bassist and Justin is the drummer. So anything guitar, we're like, I don't know.
The guitar sound is massive in this.
There's like, was it 4 different guitar players on it technically, right?
Yeah. 4.
Wow. Yeah, the guitar sound is massive. And who did engineer this record? We need to shout them out. Who engineered it?
Oh, absolutely.
It was Santi at Edge or EOI Records, Edge Original Incorporated Records.
Wow, Santi, you mastered this, dude.
Absolutely.
This might be, I mean, I've heard some really good stuff. I've heard Adopted. I've heard, you know, even the Grand Dog stuff. But I think this takes the cake. In terms of music production, this to me might be the best sounding record I've probably heard. And I just have these Rocket 5 speakers, and I listen to the new Blink-182 record on the, and I listen to and I'm just like, this takes the cake, man. What they did with you guys is mind-blowing. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Let's talk, is this a concept album?
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Okay, because I hear a story here, And the more I listen to it, the more I'm starting to put together. But I wanted to hear from you guys if there was an intention to create an arc, because there are these soundbite, answering machine parts, and there is the character of Angela, and there is like the different movement between the heavy songs, the soft songs, and stuff like that. What in your minds is that? Can you give us this story arc of this album?
Yeah. We kind of wrote the songs as like one-offs.
Okay.
And then when we went to the studio, we're like, okay, these are all the songs we have. Let's record them. And then afterwards, as they were kind of coming together, we started to think of a story and we kind of pieced it together that way. So after the songs were written, we kind of made it more into a story, I guess you could say.
They had lyrics too? All the songs were written with lyrics?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I think the story came mostly from picking the order in the song. Because after we had kind of finished them and we were figuring out how we wanted to release them and whatnot, there were a couple of orders we were considering, but we kind of, when we went through this, we almost went like, oh, this, like, kind of like you're saying, kind of feels like a story of somebody kind of going through a little bit of a journey in their life.
For sure. Yeah.
And so we kind of...
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying we just kind of went with it. And we're like, this feels like that. Let's double down. Let's add, like you're saying, the phone calls. Let's, order it so that it feels that way. Let's maybe even name them so that they feel a little bit more related. And kind of craft the story out of what we had made.
Whose idea was it to do the answering machine phone call stuff?
I think it was either me or Santi.
I think it was Santi, and then you made it.
Santi. I think
you wanted to put something in between.
Yeah. And he came up with the actual idea of doing the voice. Yeah, because I think I was just saying like, oh, we should do like some sort of skit or like transition, or something to kind of like a little bit of those older records that had a lot of those.
Yeah,
that I think I know I grew up listening to.
Like Sublime.
And so
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one that I always think of, because for whatever reason I grew up listening to it, was Eminem. Eminem had a ton of like skits in between his songs and whatnot.
Yeah, Kanye too.
Right.
The Fugees.
And I was like, I don't know, that's cool. I like this. Let's do it. Let's make it into more of a story, an art project. And Santi, I think, really came down with the idea of making them into like the phone calls.
Nice. So let's kick into that. This tune is the 5th tune on the record. This tune is called High and Mighty. Check it out.
Told
All right, that tune was called High and Mighty. Now, I really want to know here, we were just talking about this, but what is your favorite song on the album? You got 6 songs here. What are we picking? What's number 1 for you?
My number 1 is Alone, Angela's version. I really like the bass line. I really like the groove. I like the guitar solo a lot, like the whole solo section. I love. So that's my favorite. Alone.
This is a tough one for me because, like, Revival, it was like my song,
Banger.
And so like I'm super partial to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that the biggest reason, or do I just like it too? Because between that and High and Mighty, because I feel like those two, I really just dig.
Yeah. I gotta say, and I kind of am fighting to put this on the show, but I really love Done Me Wrong. It just has such a classic feel to it. I mean, Revival is heavy and fun too. I mean, as soon as I listen to that, I just think about being in the pit because that's just the way I'm wired. But like when I hear that Done Me Wrong song, I was like, oh, this feels like a song that everybody can sing along to. It just has that classic feel to it. So I really hope we can tack that on at the end of the show.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Awesome, because I'm fighting to put that on here. Now, we talked a little bit about the producer. We talked a little bit about this new approach with this record and working with people, which sounds really rad and collaborative. Is there any song here that stands out a little bit with the writing process? Does any song have a particular, maybe a story of how it came together that, stands out a little bit?
I feel like the one that was worked on the most in the studio was probably Do You Think of Me? Because we really just had the main riff and then we're like, we don't know how to end it. And then like the producer was like, let's try this at the end. Why don't we do this? And at one point in the studio, there were like 5 extra people in there and we're all just sitting there like trying to figure this song out. We're like, what if we add a bunch of instruments? What should we do? There was like a slapping part.
Oh my God.
It went so many different ways. And then finally ended up how it is now.
We just needed Angela's version is what we needed. That's the only makes the cut.
I also think Done Me Wrong was kind of a cool change. We had the song pretty finished when we went into the studio. Like we had played it live, I think twice even. But I think that's why it was a little bit more interesting to me, because like previously it was like a standard intro, right? All the instruments come in, but it's like softer. And Santi came up with the idea to like, hey, let's just do like the guitar and vocals and really have it this nice soft intro, and then like punch in with the drums and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay, that is really cool. Like, why didn't we think of that?
It definitely adds a lot of like dynamics and changes.
Yeah, and every song kind of does its own thing in that way. Every song builds differently. Every song is like a different tempo, which is the coolest part of alternative music. Punk music is great. Like I have EPs where every song is like the same tempo, and punk music, and you can Motorhead it too, where every song is the same, kind of vibe. But then there's like, this type of stuff where even within the course of a song, it's going to hardcore, it's going to, hard rock, it's going to, drop out and stuff like that. And I just think like that kind of stuff is like the future of music. And I'm super excited for this type of stuff to start forming its own scene, even though we are sort of amoebas, black sheep in the music scenes locally. Lastly, I wanted to ask you guys with this project, because you guys have only been a band for a few years, right? This was a post-COVID project. Am I right on that?
No.
We had been doing covers before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a little, not yes and no.
Yes and no. Right. So we had the band, but the music started coming out later on. What is your vision for the band? If you have, like, you know where you are now with the music you're putting out, with being a cover band and being in Southern California, do you have a vision for the band, like your final form of where you would like to be, or like where you intend to manifest the band to?
At least somewhat. Like, obviously, it's a little vague, but for me, the big thing is just to be able to do it full time. I don't, like, obviously, it'd be incredible to be touring across the world and, you know, playing massive stadiums and that kind of thing. But just being, like, mentally realistic, it's like, just if we could play enough to make it so that this is the one thing that I do for a living, instead of having to do other stuff to support it, that's ideal.
For me, I just want people to resonate with our music, and we need to find, like, our niche community of people who really like our specific sound. And that's my goal, really, is to just make music that we love and play it to people who are like, yeah, we like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, doubling back to, like, what you said earlier about the kind of, like, different sound in each of one of our songs. To me, that's like a big thing. Like, I really like I mentioned before, like, the diversity in it. Like, you can, whatever mood you're feeling, you can pick one or two of our songs and jam out to that. Like, to me, that's the sign of, like, a really great artist. And that's, I think, what we're going for in our style, though, not making stuff necessarily, like, to be listened to, but stuff that we want to listen to, that we want to make.
Yeah, it's so hard to, like, get your foot in the door with doing something, like, original, because almost nothing is really original anymore. Like, David Bowie did it, you know, the Beatles did it, you know, Shakespeare did it, whoever, you know. So it's all about, I think, you know, like, the ingredients are all there. It's like we can make our own version of the dish, if that makes sense, you know. Yeah, so that's why I'm really excited. Like, yo, if you guys come out to Philly, man, you just let me know. We'll put a fucking killer show together in Philly, New York, wherever. If you go to Houston, Texas, you got to check out Jump Rope. Jump Rope is incredible. I just saw them a couple weeks ago. They were on the show a little while ago, and it's the same thing. I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, yes, I'm so glad. And they're like another brand new band, and I'm just like, they got all the pedals out, and they got in-ear monitors. I'm like, yes, these are bands that are, like, you know, doing it in a way that is not necessarily done by too many other people. But before we go here, I want to know, when's the next podcast coming out? When are we coming out with the next Oddity Hour? That's what I'm waiting on.
We need to find a guest.
No, I'm right here.
We'll fly you out.
We'll fly you out.
Oh shit! It's like that. Oh god, I've never done that.
We're probably gonna shoot one August or September, end of this month or early next month, I imagine.
Nice, cool. Yeah. Check out the guys in Pinstock. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Pinstock, they were supposed to do a show with me, and then it kind of fell through, and they had some things happen. But I know they're from Southern California, and those guys too are doing, like, a genre blending thing, but it's all in the realm of, like, indie punk and alternative music. So shout out to Pinstock. I remember, I still have the emails. No, just kidding. But lastly, before we go, all you SoCal people, you guys can go see the Oddity live. The next show is going to be Saturday, August 24th. And we have some other shows, September 8th. October 19th. Again, you guys can go to the Oddity's super sick website. It's theoddityband.com. And also, they will have their link tree there. And also, it's the Oddity Band on Instagram. And that's where you can get at all the music and stuff like that. I hope they add the Bandcamp to the link tree. That's what I'm waiting on. Add that Bandcamp to the link tree. I'm forcing people to use Bandcamp. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Thank you guys for making these tunes. It's such a fucking rad record. So thank you. This last tune is called Do You Think of Me? But we're gonna tack an extra song on. My favorite song, Done Me Wrong. So don't leave after that song. We got a couple more up next. So check it out and rip on, everybody.
Angela, great news for you. You gotta get back to me. Call me at 951. You know my number.
Do you think of me the way I think of you? I don't always wanna, but sometimes I do. I wanna see you every goddamn day. Can't stop, won't stop until I get my way. Do you think of me the way I think of you? I don't always wanna, but sometimes I do. Tell me what you think you wanna do tonight. I won't say it's wrong, but I won't say it's right. Out of love. Out of love. Do you think of me the way I think of you? I don't always wanna, but sometimes I do. Call me up and tell me what I wanna hear. Don't yell, just whisper in my ear. Out of love. Out of love. When I saw you in town with another girl, you spun my life around. I'm in another world. Maybe someday I won't wake up alone. Maybe someday you could pick up the phone and say I miss you dearly. And I heard you clearly, but I won't reply. You know why you've done me wrong. When I stare out the window that's in my room, the lights are shining bright just like they always do. Baby, will miss you dearly.